Well, we returned from Olympic National Park and the Olympic Peninsula, and little did we know that we would witness a mule fight. Didn't know mules fight. I guess mules would fight probably over who's top mule. A mule is a cross between a male donkey and a female horse. If you do it the other way around with a male horse and a female donkey, you get what's called a hinny. Evidently, you can call them both mules, though. Anyway, so, yeah, Olympic National Park, quite a place. We stayed in a town a little bit to the east of the park called Sequim. It's spelled S-E-Q-U-I-M. Don't say Sequim. You'll get weird looks. Unfortunately, the Park Service, and this is after we arranged to make the trip, closed Hurricane Ridge Road, which is the road that goes up over Treeline. It gives you a view of the Olympic Range and Mount Olympus and the glaciers, so we couldn't do that. But there's plenty of other things to do there. As far as camera equipment, I was interested in just saving weight. We're going to be doing a lot of hiking. I took my G95 with the kit Lumix 12-60, the Lumix 45-150 telephoto zoom, the Laowa 7.5mm ultra wide, and the Lumix 20mm f1.7 prime. I use the 12-60 most of the time. Used the Laowa once. Used the 20mm a couple times. Also had the little Lumix ZS100, which, and actually I'm going to be showing a slideshow, and you'll be able to tell just by aspect ratio which ones are taken with the ZS100 because it is a more rectangular format. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio rather than the Micro Four Thirds 4:3. So you know, it did okay. I mean, you can tell the difference if you take a close look between that and the Micro Four Thirds images. But hey, weather was great. Sunny every day except one, which is interesting because that's generally a rainy place, especially getting into fall. So the day we went to the rainforest, totally sunny. That actually is a problem when you're trying to do photography in a fairly deep forest because you get this filtered sunlight coming through. If you show the tops of the trees where that sunlight is filtering through, unfortunately the 12-60 has some chromatic aberration, as I've mentioned before, that kind of leaks through the correction for that, especially in raw files. So, and I also noticed that it's hard to fix, especially in a coniferous forest, because that those fine needles, you can almost never get rid of the aberration between the needles. Here in the Midwest, where you have deciduous forests, it's not that big of an issue because it's easier to fix, but it's interesting. The first hike we took was what I want to call a never-ending hike because we went to the visitor center in the park, and you just past the visitor center, if you drive up a bit to where the road is closed, there's a trailhead called Heart of the Forest. And we checked the visitor center and said, oh, it's an easy 2-mile one way. So 2 miles is not that bad. Thing is, there's no clear indication of where the end of this trail is because it keeps going. And there was a couple in front of us that we caught up to, and they said, we've gone 2.4 miles, and we don't know where the end is. And I imagine the trail distances in a national park may be fairly old data, and maybe was done by surveying, and nobody has actually run it with a modern device that tells you, with an app that tells you how far you've gone. And then it occurred to me that even if you did that, it might cost the Park Service too much money to go into all the literature and change everything. So, funny thing was, on the way back to the car, we ran into a guy who was a local, and I just said, where's the trail end? And he said, oh, it ends at the clear cut. And yeah, there's a clear cut. It's actually on the border of the national park, so there's a clear cut. The literature says that you can get a view of the Strait of Juan de Fuca from that clear cut. But it's an old clear cut, so a lot of trees have grown up in it, and there's not much of a view of anything. Besides Olympic National Park, I mean, the areas in the park that we visited, which would include the Lake Crescent area, the Salduck area with the salmon cascade, where you can actually see the salmon, and I did get a shot of a salmon jumping the cascade. The whole rainforest, Ruby Beach on the Pacific coast, but there's also the Dungeness National Wildlife Refuge, which is near Sequim, and you can also go to the mouth of the Elbow River, which has quite a bit of seabirds. That is on property. I believe it's actually reservation land, so you got to be aware that you're not on public lands there. And also took a hike up in the Elbow River Valley, where they have removed an old hydroelectric dam, and it's pretty amazing because the land's coming back really quickly. Now, the river, now that it was undammed, actually took the road out at a certain point. So you walk up the road, and then you have to make a detour where a bridge was washed out. It's all in all a very interesting hike. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show a slideshow of the images that, some of the images that I took on this trip. And in future videos, I can talk more about some of the images. If you have any questions or insights, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this and maybe find it inspiring, pop the like button. And I want to welcome all the new subscribers. I had a bunch of people subscribe after I did that collaboration with Shane at Geeky Techie Nerdy. So big thank you to him. I will put a link to that video in the description. My part is towards the end, around 14. I think it's around 14:23. Anyway, but yeah, big thank you to Shane, because that was a lot of fun. And some really good YouTubers. I was in very lofty company on that video, so I was pretty honored to be a part of it. Anyway, here is the video. Again, any comments or questions, leave them below. I'm Todd Banner, and I will see you next time.